Welcome back to iPhoto 09. In our last lesson, we learned how to get pictures into iPhoto from our digital camera. One of the issues we'll run into over time is as we take more and more pictures, we'll end up with thousands of pictures in the iPhoto library and they'll be completely unorganized. So to make it easier to find our pictures, we're going to now learn how to organize photos. And the first thing we're going to look at is events in iPhoto. And over on the left hand side under library you will see the listing events. Now if I click on here, I have 4 different events currently in my iPhoto library. Now by default, when you import photos into iPhoto, it puts them into the date that those photos were taken. However, my wife and I each have our own cameras. So when we went to our trip to Oregon, you'll see some pictures here. If I go back to all events, I have another option that these are all pictures from our Oregon trips. And because they were imported from 2 different cameras, iPhoto senses those as 2 different events. So the first thing I want to do is I am going to shift click on this second one so I have both of these events selected. I am going to now control click and choose merge events. And yes, we want to merge. So now I have one event, and if I look in here I have all of our photos from our trip to Oregon. Let's go back to all events. Now, since I know this is a trip to Oregon, I don't necessarily want this titled August 29th, 2010. I'm going to click on that and title this Trip to Oregon. And it contains all my pictures from August 27th through September 3rd, which was the time for our trip. So now we have photos better organized into events. Next, we're going to look at organizing our photos based on the faces that are in the photos. Now, iPhoto 09 has a very unique feature where it will actually go through and find all the faces that are in your pictures, which is great for organizing pictures of your family, your friends, and so on. So to get started with faces, the first thing we need to do is pick a photo and name some of the faces in it. So I'm going to pick this one of my family in Oregon. I'm going to click on name, and it is going to find the faces in the picture. So I'm going to type my own name. I'm going to type my son's name, my daughter, and since it didn't find my wife's face, I'm going to click on Add Missing Face. I'm going to drag the box over her face and type her name. Now, I am done with that. So I'm going to click Done. And iPhoto will work for a few seconds, but when I click on Faces, now I have a face named for each person in my family. If I click into my daughter's, it will also say she may be in additional photos. So I click on to the additional photo, click Confirm Name, and if it is truly a picture of her, I will click Confirm, click Done, and you'll see it adds some more photos that may be her. So I will click Confirm again, and I will go through and confirm all of the photos that are of my daughter. I click Done. And as this goes through time, it will actually learn who the people are. So I have a few more here to confirm. I'm going to click Confirm again. And I will click Confirm on that one, that one. Now in this case, this is a photo of my son, so I don't want to confirm that. There's one of my daughter, another one of my son. I don't want to confirm that. Click Done. And as I add new photos now, it will automatically add those to the different faces that I have defined. So typically you need to go through and confirm anywhere from about 25 to 50 photos over time, and iPhoto from then on will automatically add those photos to each name. Now, the nice part with this is using a function called tags within photos. A tag simply puts information into the picture that says this is part of this face, rather than actually making a copy of the photo and putting it into, say, a Mark folder. It just tags the photo that says Mark's face is in this photo. So when you select Mark's face, bring up this photo. So don't worry about using faces and having it take up more space on your hard drive. It actually just helps you organize without taking up extra space. Our third method that we're going to use to organize photos, I think, is probably the most interesting one that's in iPhoto. It's a method called Places. Now, Places uses additional tags that are in photos called geodata. Geodata locates photos onto a map. Now, if you're lucky enough to have a newer camera that has a GPS built into it, this information will automatically be recorded. In fact, I'm going to click on to Places, and you'll notice I have pins located along the map that indicate that there are photos taken there. If I zoom in on those by double clicking, I can click the arrow and that will show a photo that was taken in that location. Let's zoom back out and we'll move over here and click on another one, and you'll see there were photos taken in those locations. Now, that was done because one of the cameras that we own has a GPS built into it, so it automatically recorded those waypoints as the photos were taken. But one of our cameras doesn't have a GPS built into it, so like most people, we would have to automatically, or we would have to go in and manually set those locations for it. So I'm going to pick one of the pictures that I took on the trip, picture of my son here, and I will click on the information button in the corner. Comes up with the name of the file, when it was taken, and I'm going to type into this the actual city that it was taken in. This was taken at the Tillamook Air Museum in Tillamook, Oregon, and when I type in Tillamook, it does a search through its database, finds Tillamook, and adds a location to my map. When I click Done, it has now added that to a place, and you'll see I now have Tillamook listed on my map. So as I get thousands of photos recorded, I can come to the map, click on a location, and find photos that were taken in that location. Okay, so now we have looked at all three ways to organize photos within iPhoto: events, faces, places. In the next lesson, we're going to go through how to tag these photos yourself in order to rate them, and also how to improve your photos.